Walk into almost any Christian school classroom, and you will see a stated mission clearly displayed on the wall, a poster celebrating grace, truth, and Christ-centered learning. But right next to that poster, a struggling student makes a mistake, and the immediate reaction they get is a heavy sigh and visible frustration. Educational researchers call this dynamic the hidden curriculum. It's the secondary syllabus that no one ever writes down. Students are constantly reading the unwritten rules of the room: who actually receives grace, who gets punished, and exactly what kind of behavior earns a smile. The most durable lesson a kid learns doesn't come from the official lesson plan or the morning devotion. It is absorbed directly from the teacher's daily emotional and relational reactions. Think of a classroom like an aquarium. The sign on the outside might say healthy tank, but the fish don't survive on the sign. They survive based on the actual minute-to-minute water quality, the chemical balance, and the temperature swings. In a secular school, that relational water quality teaches kids about fairness, effort, and whether they belong. In a Christian school, those exact same variables are actively constructing a student's working picture of God. If a student only hears verbal praise when they deliver a perfect answer, and never for honest effort or taking responsibility for a repaired mistake, they are learning a performance-based gospel. The lived experience of the room is teaching them that love is earned by getting it right. Whether they intend to be or not, teachers are the most repeated visual aid a student has for what God is actually like. The first 2 weeks of school operate as a rapid, mostly unconscious testing period. Students are running constant background checks to see exactly what happens when they fail in this specific room. Every minor infraction acts as a discrete data point. When a kid blurts out an answer without raising their hand, the entire class registers the teacher's response. Every dropped pencil, every forgotten homework assignment, every petty argument between students adds another data point to the class's working theory of what the adult in the room actually values. Early on, this classroom culture behaves like wet concrete. The emotional environment is highly pliable. But around day 14, that concrete cures and assumptions set permanently. Once they have a locked-in pattern of how a teacher reacts, any new contradicting evidence bounces right off. Psychologists document this as the primacy effect. Early impressions carry massive disproportionate weight and are notoriously resistant to revision. The same way the first date shapes a relationship far more rapidly than year 10 of a marriage. If a teacher is short-tempered and reactive in week 1, but noticeably warmer by week 6, students do not average the behavior out. They interpret the warmth in week 6 as a rare good day, rather than a genuine reflection of who the teacher is. The first 14 days of the school year permanently pour the foundation for the classroom's theological baseline. To find out what your classroom actually teaches, you have to run a deliberate test. Think of a home energy audit. A house can look perfect from the street, but you still need specialized tools to find the unseen heat escaping through the walls. The 10-minute classroom gospel audit uses 3 questions to do exactly that for your room. Question 1. What emotion registers on your face in the first half second of a student's failure? Before the polished teacher voice takes over, kids are clocking that initial involuntary flash of frustration or patience. Question 2. What actually gets celebrated out loud? Notice if your vocal praise is reserved entirely for correct answers and finished work, or if you pause to publicly validate a student who repairs a mistake. Question 3. Where is your attention actively directed? Look at whether you reflexively correct minor, harmless fidgets while completely ignoring the quietly disengaged student in the back row. The goal of this audit is not to tally up failures or generate guilt. It is simply a tool to surface the hidden gap between the classroom you intend to run and the one your students are actually experiencing. This audit requires 0 instructional time. It isn't a new curriculum or an extra workload to accelerate burnout. It needs nothing more than a notebook and 10 minutes of reflection to act as a lens on behavior that is already happening. Once you can clearly see the mismatch between your stated values and your involuntary reactions, the fix is highly practical. It comes down to small, immediate course corrections, like naming a sharp reaction out loud and trying it again in the moment. Students will learn a theology from their daily environment either way. The only choice a teacher has is to consciously align that hidden curriculum with the gospel they actually want their kids to believe, and to do it while the concrete is still wet.